it's good for the company to sort of plant the seed, right? Where there's people already saying, well, if they give me, enough money, I'm out of here. I don't care what the union says, blah, 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 blah. And again, there's no details and there's no reason to even come to that conclusion or make that statement. And that's where the divisiveness comes in.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
What is going on, everybody? So today I have Greg Kerwood out of Local 25 in Boston, and we're going to be talking about the buyouts. You know, UPS has announced they want to do buyouts to all their package car drivers, and then shortly after, the Teamsters interjected and said, no, that is a contract violation. You cannot do buyouts. We're going to dig into the nitty gritty of all this, so let's get into it. First, the news hit that the buyouts, UPS wants to do buyouts on its package car drivers. And then the Teamsters had their take. Now, what is the Teamsters' take on all this?
Well, from what I've seen, the union perspective is that this isn't even legal. That everything has to be negotiated as part of our contract. Any wages, we certainly don't allow for extra contract agreements, which I think you could make an argument that any buyout would be an agreement between an individual outside of the union contract, and that the company, whatever they're trying to do, I think we're guessing that they're trying to eliminate jobs, still has an obligation on a new contract to create new jobs, and quite a few of them. So I think it seems to me that the company sort of tossed this out there, and the IBT responded quickly and in kind, just to try to clarify things somewhat. But the reality is there's not a lot to the company announcement, and we don't really know any details at all. Some of the information in that statement doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and so it's really hard to say what it actually will turn out to be, if anything, in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess when they talk about creating new jobs, new full-time jobs, there's under Article 22.3, the company has to create, what was it,
7,500 brand new jobs, and they have to offer 22,500 jobs to part-timers. So even if they eliminated, jobs, they'd still be on the hook for all of that. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why it would seem beneficial for them to, get people to retire early.
Exactly. So, and then there's the flip side of this, and that, some people that work here are all about themselves. They probably don't even watch this channel, to be honest with you. But, there are people that see this as an opportunity to leave and say, screw everybody else. I mean, Greg, what's your 2 cents on that?
Well, I think it's as a divisive tactic on the company's part, it's certainly effective. I mean, there's not a UPS employee out there who doesn't fantasize about walking away from the job, tomorrow. Uh, at the same time, it's maybe outside the bounds of our agreement, and if it is, uh, it's good for the company to sort of plant the seed, right? Where there's people already saying, well, if they give me enough money, I'm out of here. I don't care what the union says, blah, 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 blah. And again, there's no details and there's no reason to even come to that conclusion or make that statement. And that's where the divisiveness comes in. You're already throwing the union out the door for your own personal self-interest based on absolutely nothing. The company's giving you no information, no offer, no details or whatever, and you're already jumping ship. That to me is a little bit ridiculous. And to be putting that out there and helping spread that divisiveness, doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, and so this begs the question, if the company was ever to offer a buyout, hypothetically, what do you think it would be?
Given the history of this company and what you and I and many others have seen, what they offer people who are injured and things like that, anything from this company, I would expect to be a very low offer. There's stuff about pension and healthcare really doesn't apply. Our pensions are already funded, hourly based on what we work. They can't take that money back. So if you have 25 years in your pension, you have 25 years in your pension, whether the company likes it or not. And our healthcare situation is similar. It's different everywhere, depending on where you're at. Some people, have different rules for retiree healthcare. The notion that the company can guarantee that it's going to be paid or not everywhere in the country doesn't even make any sense. And so it begs the question of what exactly is the point of putting this statement out at this time? Is it to try to appease shareholders once again, and create the image that they're trimming the fat, as we've discussed many times on this show, and cutting things back and making the shareholders happy when in actuality they can't do a whole heck of a lot? Could be, without any details and with the wishy-washy information they did put on there, kind of leads me to believe that. But at the very least, you got to wait and see, folks. I mean, again, everybody would like to leave tomorrow, but at the same time, there's no point in getting all hyped up and spreading rumors and all the other stuff that goes on in these situations for no reason. It comes to no end. If there is going to be something and it is legal and it turns out they can do it and whatever it is, we'll know in the future. And at that point, those who can, will have a choice to make, and that'll be up to them. But until that happens, it's like hoping you're going to win the lottery tomorrow or something. There's really no point to any of it. The speculation and the back and forth and people arguing, and it's just silliness.
Yeah, and I think honestly, best case scenario, because we've seen it when people get severely injured on the job, they usually offer a 2-year salary or severance or whatever. And then I guess what I read recently is what management was offered was basically 3 months salary and 1 extra week for every year they worked there. So you're not really looking at a whole lot of money in all this. If they do, I mean, listen, we don't know, but those are some rough numbers to go off of if they were ever going to do it. I just don't see it being like some people are like, oh, if they give me like, $500,000, I'm out the door. I highly, highly doubt they will go to that. And also they can't touch your pension and they can't touch your health benefits. I get this question all the time is when the people are wondering, oh, if I get fired, will I lose my pension? No, the pension's already invested. You do it every year, so it builds up over time. They can't take that away from you. Now, the question is, and Greg, you just brought it up, is that, what is the purpose of all this? I mean, they're throwing this out there. What do you think? Do you think this is for the shareholders, or I mean, what's your take on that?
As I said, it very well could be. I mean, we all know shareholders love to hear about cost cutting and things like that. And certainly Carol Tomei has made that her MO since she took over this company, that she's going to increase profit by subtraction, which, all of us who actually work there know how absurd that notion is. So without any information, the way it's done and written and just throwing it out there like that leads me to believe that's a distinct possibility. It could also be just to, throw something at the IBT and see what kind of chaos they can cause. I mean, the company does a lot of stuff. We all know they do a lot of stuff that doesn't involve a whole lot of planning and thinking ahead. It could just be, just a blip on the radar screen that we never hear another word about. So, there's really no way to know. They give no indication in that piece exactly what their motivation is. There have been plenty of people speculating, based on the overall purpose for buyouts in general. But that doesn't mean that's why they're throwing this out there. So, there's really no way to know, and we just have to wait and see if anything comes of this or what comes of it down the road.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is my theory that the layoffs, they can't lay off high senior guys. The only way they can get them out is through a buyout. But I don't know. I just don't see it. Unless you're already out the door, then what's the point of doing a buyout? Because they're going to leave anyways. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then, so here's the other thing is a lot of buildings out there right now, because the lack of hiring and everything else is that a lot of people are just understaffed to begin with. Greg, I mean, what are you thinking on your side? What are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a severely understaffed everywhere, and that's partly because it's summer vacation time, and at least from what I've seen and heard, almost no one was hired to cover summer vacations, which is something I've never seen in my 21 years. And beyond that, people were short-staffed to begin with. I mean, the company's basically hired no one, uh, certainly this year, and really going back into the year before. So they're short staffing all over the place. They're paying supervisor working grievances without too much pushback, at least in a lot of places. And it just seems to be the way they want to do things is to run, understaffed, chronically understaffed. And since we're already there, one has to wonder how much more they can cut before things completely fall apart. They may be counting on, summer vacations coming to an end, reduction in Amazon volume, or something else that's going to, adjust that so that suddenly they're up to staff with the current numbers. But as of right now, I don't see how they could possibly be planning to cut bodies when, everybody's already working 14-hour days and there's not enough people. So it makes no sense to me.
Absolutely. I mean, we got so many people filing 9.5s right now. It's ridiculous. And then they want to cut even more bodies than we already have. I know they were talking about the Amazon volume leaving by the end of July. But, I don't have the details on that. I heard it's like 80% of Amazon volume is leaving by the end of July. But still, this seems kind of preemptive. You think you would do this after the volume left to see where you stand, not just to do it ahead of time. Because all that means is that you're going to get rid of even more bodies, and then the volume's still there or is still high, and then those people are going to be working even later. Once again, I can't make sense of this, but whatever. I'm just a package car driver with a camera, so there you go. Now there was Google buyouts 3 weeks ago, and why is this related? Well, there is the notion that a buyout looks better. It's a more positive way of getting rid of people than a layoff. So it gives better press and also keeps the morale higher. If you start doing layoffs in a company, the morale sinks. Now we're talking about morale and UPS. So I don't know, but hey, there you go. So we just kind of wanted to cover some of this stuff. And what our perspective was on all of this, and we'll keep you guys posted. I'm sure there's going to be more to come on this. So if you have not done so already, follow the Teamster Media Hub on Facebook. Greg Kerwood runs it, and shout outs. And I'm just going to kick it off. I'm going to give a shout out to LL Cool J. He refused to cross a picket line in Philadelphia. So that's super awesome to hear. Greg, shout outs. Who you going to shout out today?
I have to shout out our brothers and sisters at Republic Waste, who are on strike up here, and I know they've extended picket lines elsewhere. This is another scumbag company who we've battled with up here before. We have a community standard for trash jobs that Local 25 has established in Greater Boston. And Republic has got two choices. They can either step up to that community standard or surpass it if they choose, or they can go do their business elsewhere and someone else will pick up the trash in Greater Boston. But we're not going to lower our standards to match the corporate greed of Republic Waste. That is not going to happen.
Awesome. All right, guys. Love ya, and I'll see you next time. So.